Yeah. Pro Fan Sports Podcast. Let's get it. Pro fans, tune into the program. Every single week, get the dope, fam. Sean on the mic, very flat too. Keep you updated, that's what we do. Pro fans, tune into the program. Pro fans, tune into the program. Pro fans, tune into the program. Every single week, get the dope, fam.
Yo, what to do, everybody? It's your boy, John Altidor with Pro Fan Sports Podcast. Back at you with another one with my boys, Vlad, Barry, and back on the show. We love him coming back on the show. We got Barstool sports writer, host of Do Your Pod, author of 6 Rings, and From Darkness to Dynasty, and also a comic, Jerry Thornton, man. Welcome back.
Hey, John, Vlad, Barry, thanks for having me back on, although I would never disparage an invitation, but this is the second time I've been on, and it's always been after a traumatic experience. Last year was after losing to Tom Brady, my personal emotional Chernobyl, and now it's after Mac Jones hobbles off the field like he's about to go into a Civil War medical tent and have his leg cut off. So, yeah. Thank you during my moment of emotional need to throw me in front of a webcam and go ahead, dance for us, Bear, let's go.
Hey,
I appreciate it, but it's been a tough time.
Take it as therapy. It's your time to vent.
Yeah. It's very cathartic, and it's a time you don't want to be alone. You need to share the grief with like-minded people. So exactly. I absolutely do sincerely thank you for this, and this is a billable hour for you guys because no therapist should do this for free. So thank you. Talk me down off this ledge. I will just say this. I have one of my teeth is fake and in it is a cyanide pill that I almost swallowed when he came off the field. I'm still alive.
Like in the movies.
I'm hanging on by a string right now.
I mean, this is why we have you on, to provide some comic relief, because I think we all need it right now, as to what's going on with, like you said, Mac Jones. What was that very last play? We got something, with Mac Jones. He's down and injured. He still did his press conference today. Does that mean, is that a good sign or what?
Yeah, well, listen, it's not his shoulder. It's not his head, God forbid, and he's not the most mobile quarterback. But when the report came out, and we're talking on Monday night, on Monday afternoon, that it was, and I'm quoting from Ian Rappaport, I forget who else, but it was a highly severe, it was a very severe high ankle sprain. So I went on WebMD and looked it up, and it turns out that is a way of saying that it's highly severe. So yeah, that's bad. I mean, ankle sprains are bad. High ankle sprains are really bad, and very severe ankle sprains are it spells doom. But when you saw him hobble off the field, not even putting any weight on it, and then saw the pictures of him down the tunnel with that look of pure, crippling pain on his face, I think we all automatically said, well, season-ending IR, and maybe there's hope.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, with him doing the press conference today, hopefully that means it's not as bad as we thought. But, with Mac Jones if he goes down, we're not really in the best shape right now. And I'm seeing, articles about quarterbacks that could be available. I even saw a Cam Newton mentioned in an article, man. What are we going to do?
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. Well, look, the worst case scenario is he's done for the year. Best case scenario is it was just one of those Paul Pierce wheelchair moments, maybe he sharded himself and he just needed to get off the field or whatever. We're in this weird kind of, and Paul Pierce has denied that was the case, but I think we all are one mind on that. So we're in this weird kind of netherworld where We don't know the time frame. We don't know if he's coming back, and we're gonna have to like guess, because this is an organization that is slightly more secretive than that office in the Pentagon that handles UFO information. So we're just not going to know. And week to week, it's going to be this kind of hellish existence of trying to guess. Is he going to come back? He's going to be okay. What shape is he going to be in when he does come back? But yeah, the press conference has to be a good sign. I mean, we haven't experienced anything like this in 14 years. Because 14 years ago, first quarter of week 1, Bernard Pollard takes out Brady's knee. And if you remember, Brady was not heard from the rest of the year. He just went into a cave somewhere and just, recuperated. The fact that he's out there front and center tells us it's a little bit of positivity. But as I say this, I'm not the biggest point spread guy in the world, but the line at the game at Green Bay moved from 5 to 10.5. Not a good sign.
Yeah.
No, definitely. No.
Do you think he plays next week? Is there any chance he plays next week?
Yeah, that would be. He'd have to go to one of those tents where the faith healer who bilks old people out of their money so he can build a water park, would have to lay hands on them, and it's going to take a miracle of that level. And here's the thing: there's no reason to question this guy's toughness. Although all the internet cowboys wasted no time. Say, oh, took a little hit. Look at the look on his face. Oh, he's soft. Someone told me he's tissue soft. Someone on Twitter. An internet cowboy. And I had to say, okay, so this guy you're calling tissue soft played 18 games as a rookie, never came off the field for injury or performance, only when they had a big lead. And as a final year at Alabama, played 13 games against SEC quality defenses. It's ridiculous to question his toughness because some pictures showed him in pain. Sometimes you're in pain.
Right.
The fact he rallied enough the next day to take questions is a positive sign, but in the long run, it doesn't mean squat.
Hey, I mean, maybe we will have doctors like, Tua had in Miami, just to clear him to go in the game anyway, and help us out.
Yeah. The NFLPA said they're going to look into that. They're going to file a complaint.
They have to.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
And they may, but my guess is you'll never hear from it again, because you've noticed there's a certain tier of players that when they get really dinged up in the skull bucket, that the NFL has a way of just saying, no, he's fine. And it's different for playoff games and for regular season games. All they want to do is make the CTE thing go away. They don't want to actually take players off the field at big moments, on highly rated national broadcasts and crap. And so, yeah, I do think the league did Tua dirty, but that's what the league does. As long as no one's talking about it the next day, they're just talking about the exciting comeback, then Roger Goodell, who I will remind you guys, I'm sure I said this last year, but he is the focus of evil in the universe and doesn't give a tuppeny damn about the health of anyone as long as it keeps the money rolling into him.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I think, as far as the Patriots go and Mac Jones, we probably won't know anything until about 4:00, on Sunday for that 4:25 game against Green Bay. But let's bring it back to the game that we did have yesterday against Baltimore Ravens, which we lost 37-26. Even though we lost, we still scored the most points we've scored so far this year in a game. We saw some positive signs with our new signee, Devontae Parker. What'd you think about the game, and how did that get away from us?
Yeah, and I have many thoughts, and I definitely want to hear from all three of you guys. But it was this thing where it was frustrating because they weren't just terrible. In a weird way, that would sort of be a little more easy to swallow. If they just went out there and couldn't do anything right. It's the fact that they did so much right against a really quality opponent and then found ways to just shoot themselves in the foot. You know, again, 4 turnovers is insane. How many times they forced a turnover and then just gave it right back. Or, you know, the very first series, and I'm not the world's biggest Isaiah Wynn critic, but they complete a first down and it comes back because of an illegal formation on number 76. And it's like, an illegal formation, like that's just the first part of your job. What are we doing here? And it was in all 3 phases, because defensively, you know, they were able to contain Lamar Jackson. And anytime you can contain him, even for the better part of a half, that's an impressive accomplishment, and they did. But then Baltimore made an adjustment before the half that just, you know, unlocked the cheat codes of the Patriots defense, and they could never really recover from that. And then in special teams, you know, you had the chance to pin him deep in a big return where I think Matthew Slater got held on it, but whatever, it's a big return. So all 3 phases found these ways to make great plays and then give it right back again. And that's the most frustrating thing of all. And you mentioned Devontae Parker. Hell yeah, like all of a sudden and after having 1 catch for 9 yards in 2 games, he and Mac Jones did that thing, got that chemistry that's hard to define, but you know it when you see it. All right, here's an obscure reference from the highest grossing movie of all time, but no one ever talks about Avatar anymore. James Cameron's come out with 3 new sequels, and he admitted no one cares about Avatar. I don't know why I'm even doing this, but you remember there was those pterodactyl things they would fly on, and you had to kind of connect your hair braids to its like head.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
And it felt like, okay, Jones is like flying on the back of Devontae Parker, and they've made that psychic connection, and it was great, and it just went for nothing. And that's where it's so frustrating. If you play bad, you play bad. But when you make great plays, and 5 completions to him, all for 20 yards, all different patterns. He had a deep cross. He had that fade. He had that go route where he went outside the cornerback and just beat him up the sidelines for 40 yards. And you're like, this should have been there. We arrived a moment. And it was almost there until Nelson Aguilar gets stripped like a mother losing her baby to a dingo. And it's like, come on, just hold on to the ball, Aguilar. Like, this was such a great moment for all of them. So that's my rant. I'd love to know what you guys think overall of it.
He's on mute.
You must be on mute or something.
Sorry, I was muted. I thought it was an entertaining game. I thought we were going back and forth, and sometimes it looked like we had control of the game, and sometimes it looked like Baltimore had control of the game. Even though we tried to contain Lamar Jackson, I thought he really had the game under control himself. I think he ran almost all over us. He had 100 yards and he averaged over 10 yards per carry, which was unbelievable against a Bill Belichick defense. And I didn't think he played that good of a game, honestly, while throwing the ball, but our defense just couldn't make the plays, you know. He threw an interception to us. We didn't make anything really out of it. Even that touchdown to Mark Andrews, it wasn't the best throw, but McCourty didn't turn around to look at the ball and deflect it. I just don't think we are that at the level of a team like Baltimore, especially offensively. I didn't think it was Mac's worst game, but some of those decisions were terrible though. Some the 2 picks in the end zone, I don't know. I don't know how you can forgive those throws.
Yeah, Barry.
Yeah, I mean, it was, a disappointing, obviously, result, and them losing this game. That I thought that, for a good part of this game, had played pretty well. Offensively, I thought, they did some good things. Matt threw some good balls, in the first half, and and they were able to finally get, Devontae Parker going, like you had said. Jerry, made some really great and amazing catches. That really helped the offense be able to push the ball down the field and make big explosive plays. So that was good to see. But this is one where it feels like it's frustrating and and semi-aggravating because this is a game they should have honestly won, and like they're the ones that beat themselves. I feel like the Patriots beat the Patriots and not the Ravens beat the Patriots. Yeah, the Ravens played well, but I thought this, like I said last week, this was a winnable game for them, and it certainly was. It was there's for the Patriots game for the taking. They had their chances to be able to take control of this game and be able to come up with the win. And unfortunately, those costly turnovers, having 4 turnovers all in the second half, and turning over the ball in the red zone, certainly is a no-no and a cardinal sin. Particularly on third down, you got to be able to, just throw it away and take the 3 points and, and like you said, make better decisions, with the football. And as we know, ball security is job security, and somebody's got to tell Nelson Aguilar to do that because, it was a nice catch and everything he made on that play, but it's like that kind of play was just it was a momentum killer, and really just changed the whole complexion of the game. That's where I think, it started going downhill for the Patriots, and they ended up, being on their way to lose the game. And defensively, I don't know, I wasn't too impressed with the defense. Yeah, they started out well in the first half, but in the second half, I thought they were just really bad. Like, they were just awful, and they let Lamar get going too much in the second half. So, he certainly cooked us and did his thing. So, yeah, it's unfortunate that they ended up losing this game the way that they did. And, we'll see where the team goes from here and if they can be able to, clean this stuff up and take care of the ball, moving forward.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's a, excuse me, a good sign or a bad sign, but it really was a team loss. Everybody shared in both the good parts and the bad parts. Like, Vlad mentioned the interception in the end zone. I went back and rewatched it a bunch of times, and you see, like, Baltimore's showing that they're going to blitz, but then they drop off. It was Patrick Queen, the middle linebacker, and then Owe, the nose tackle. They drop them into coverage, and then they bring a corner off the edge. So now they're rushing 4, but the corner goes unblocked. And at the same time, Trent Brown gets beat off the other end. They both meet at their appointed meeting place, which was Mac Jones's face mask, and he throws it off his back foot, partly because, it was 3rd and goal from the 10, which means, they had a negative play on first down that pushed them back. So now he kind of goes into this bad decision mode where he says, well, I don't want to settle for a field goal. He heaves it into the end zone. Parker never looks around, and it was Marlon Humphrey makes the play.
Yeah.
He's the receiver on that play. Once the ball's in the air, he's the intended target because Parker never saw the ball coming out, which tells me they probably didn't have the blitz pickup call, so no one's looking for the ball coming out quick. Just a complete breakdown and a mistake by everyone, where really Jones, and I think he would have done this as a rookie, would have been better off just turtling, just take the sack. You kick the field goal, now it's a 2-point game instead of a 5-point game and you don't have the ball. So, yeah, I expected a slow start to the season. I truly did. But this is like error repeating at this point, which is their biggest no-no. Like, you can make errors, but don't be an error repeater. And Jones in particular is repeating errors that he would clean up when he was a rookie. he would get picked up by Diggs from the Cowboys for pick six, and the next play come back and hit Kendrick Bourne for a 75-yard touchdown. Now we just, in 3 games, haven't seen that learning curve go up, and that's the really frustrating thing.
So do you think he's regressed, or do you think it's an effect of the lack of offensive-minded coaches that are on the staff?
Yeah, I don't think he's regressed physically. I think that's key. And, he has become this, like, kind of target for people to say, all the Patriots' frustration is now directed at the quarterback. He's not good anymore. He doesn't have a strong arm. He was never that good. You're an idiot for thinking he would be that good. His arm is fine. In fact, his 3rd interception was an overthrow, and some of his earlier ones were overthrows. I think he's getting the ball out. Case in point, the dimes he was dropping to Kendrick Bourne. But clearly the whole scheme is out of sync. And I think we can only attribute that to the fact that they tried to reboot the offense. They tried to adopt an entire new system. The whole offseason was taken up with that. And then really by the end of preseason, and I'm saying right through the regular season, I think they've just gone back to the system they were running before. Like, if this is some variation of the Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan systems that we were told it was going to be, I'm not just not seeing it. I'm not seeing those motions and the backside screens, and I think they do a little pre-snap notion to identify what the coverage is going to be, and then maybe a little short motion to a stack. But all this misdirection and stuff that we were told it was going to be, it's just not there. Maybe an RPO here or there, or some zones and gap blocking, but we've seen that before too. So I think this might be a thing where if you ever had like kids taking modern day math and you try to help them with their math homework, you haven't the first clue what they're doing, right? Like in Incredibles 2, why did they change math? And I think that's what the Pats tried to do, and then eventually just said, this isn't working out, so let's go back to what we were doing before. And I'm just guessing by what my eyes tell me. And it's taking extra time for everybody to get back on the page that they were on at the end of last year.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, the 3rd game, it seems like there's been improvements, right? It seems like every game so far offensively, there's been improvements. Mac doing a little better. But again, some of these things, it's like you're making some of the same mistakes. And I agree. I really don't see anything too much different than what we were doing last year with Mac Jones. Maybe, Matt Patricia, he's not very familiar with everything. I mean, he's on offense now. So maybe that's what's going on. He's not calling the plays at a timely pace. But one thing I'm curious about is a tight end situation. Last year we saw Hunter Henry. He was very good, with Mac Jones, especially in the red zone. And this year he has not produced at all. He's turned into Jonnu Smith from last year. What is going on with that position?
Yeah, that's a great question. That is the absolute mystery. And of the guys that really needed to improve from year 1 to year 2, it was 1A, 1B, Jonnu Smith, and Nelson Aguilar. And Aguilar has shined. I mean, he had that 44-yarder last week, which is an unbelievable catch. And Smith has slightly improved, but that's not really a compliment because he was basically a non-factor. And Henry has stepped back, maybe because they're trying to open up more to the receivers. He didn't get off to the hottest start last year. In the second half of the year, he was far and away the security blanket for Jones. But it's still pretty much, when he's in there, it's the slot receiver who didn't play. Why am I suddenly blanking? Yes, yeah, Jacoby Myers. He's clearly still the wide receiver 1 and miscast in that role. And they're running the offense through the wide receivers more than the tight ends. And I guess you only have so many targets on the field at a given time, but the Miami game, they played 2 tight ends virtually the entire game and the same 2 receivers the whole game. Remember how we were all freaking out about the fact Kendrick Bourne didn't see the field until he caught a 40-yarder up the sidelines? You're like, where has he been? So they're mixing and matching these guys for whatever reason. Humphrey, little Jordan Humphrey gets out there and plays in a ton of snaps and was hardly ever targeted. So right now it's just who knows what they are. Even if you say, well, they're game plan specific game to game, I don't know what their identity is. I don't think they know. I don't think it's a team that you can pull them together and say, okay, we got to have it 4th and 2. What's our best play? I don't think they know what that is right now. Certainly in the red zone, they either run it in or they don't get in. Like that's it. Their best option is either Ramondre Stevenson or Damian Harris or Jones on a keeper after the play breaks down. But there's no targeting into the end zone once they're inside the 5. That just doesn't happen. And middle of the field on short distances, still don't know what they are. If you stuff that run, I don't know what their option B is. And, Matt Patricia has become this vessel really all year long, and it's continued into the season. He's just this vessel into which everyone pours all their angst and everything that's bothering them. We're all just pinning it on him. Mac Jones gets hurt. Well, that was Patricia. He throws an interception. See, Patricia doesn't know what he's doing. You have erectile dysfunction. Honey, it's Matt Patricia. If it wasn't for him, believe me, I'd be bringing the heat right now. It's insane. I was trying to think of this, and maybe you guys can help me. Who is the most disliked figure in Boston sports in your lifetime before Matt Patricia? I think I have to go back to Rick Pitino. And I think Rick Pitino earned it. He earned everybody's scorn and hatred because he was an imbecile. Patricia, just the press hated him. Every caller, every talk show hates him. This guy could save a bunch of kittens from a burning pet store, and people will still call up 98.5 the next day and go, I'm telling you, he's a jerk. If it wasn't for him, that building never would have caught fire. I don't know what the guy can do, but, 26 points should have helped. If they had scored 34 like they probably should have, maybe we're not having this conversation.
He might be up there with Bobby Valentine and Kyrie Irving.
Oh, Bobby Valentine's ago. How dare I forget Kyrie Irving? Holy moly, yeah. Okay, that's a great recent example.
Absolutely. The score putting up 37 points, would suggest that what the hell was the defense doing out there? But obviously we committed 4 turnovers yesterday. So, the offense having more and more chances to be out on the field will put up points on the board. But yesterday we did see some good play from some guys. Dietrich Wise had three and a half sacks, whatever it was. Jonathan Jones, he's showing that he's a very capable corner on the outside. What do you think about the defense? And I don't know what they can do here. What more can the defense do to help us stay in games?
Yeah, I wrote this about in my recap of the game. I call it knee-jerk reactions. I've been doing it on Barstool for almost 20 years. And I said, I have nothing against Dietrich Wise. Just that for the first 4 years of his career, I just wasn't seeing it. It just, not a bad player, but just never really stood out. And then they re-signed him, gave him a contract extension. I was like, okay, that's an odd move I wasn't seeing. I figured they just let him walk and replace him with someone cheaper. And he has earned every penny of it. He looks tremendous. And yeah, those sacks he had, and it wasn't just sacks, it was him being disciplined. When they face a running quarterback, the thing is, don't get behind him, don't sell out, don't go for the sack, just get to his level, hold it there, contain him. Going back to Russell Wilson in Super Bowl 49, that's what they did the whole first half, and just kept in front of him and whatever, and it was working. And then Baltimore adjusted, and there was a time or two where Wise got caught diving inside and the play went around. There was other times where, Matt Judon got caught like in a pin pull move and they went around the edges. And I think it was just Baltimore going, okay, they're playing that base nickel. They're playing three safeties. More importantly, they're playing three safeties, and one of them is not Kyle Duggar, who's been the Patriots' best defender for the first two games. And we're too big if we have 10 guys blocking for Jackson for them to be able to stop it. And it worked. And how many times did you see Adrian Phillips out there and he's got 20 yards to defend and he's got Jackson with a full head of steam, or, Mark Andrews coming at him, and McCourty, like Vlad mentioned, in the end zone, like right there in his face, but Andrews made the play. So the safeties had a really tough day overall. And I think that's the strength of the defense, is the safeties and the safety depth, and they were no match for them. So that's a bad look overall. They didn't so much get pushed around as much as they got spread out, and then there was just no way to stop what Jackson can do.
Yeah, I agree for sure.
We talked about Mac Jones at the beginning. I mean, let's be real now. If no Mac Jones equals no competitive Patriots, right?
Equals lottery team.
I know.
And my follow-up question is, I mean, are we picking the lesser of two non-compatible quarterbacks, Billy Zappi and Brian Hoyer? Like, I don't even know who I want based on those two guys.
Yeah, I have to tell you this, a brief personal anecdote. It might be hard for you to imagine, but yesterday I was in a dark place. Like, I was pretty inconsolable. And my long-suffering Irish Rose, bless her heart, Sunday was our 29th wedding anniversary, and I spent
Congrats.
Thanks very much. Yeah, I basically spent it just depressed, like sliding down the shower wall, like, and fully clothed and crying and stuff. And she was like, look, you have to stay positive. You have to. Come on, this is what people want to see out of you. And I said, here's the beautiful thing about Barstool. They don't want to see just stupid positivity out of me. They want to see me be honest. And the honesty is, I'm dying a horrible death right now. Like, I'm so emotionally invested in Mac Jones that this is really hard for me. I can laugh about it now, but this is a grim outlook for us. And as far as like Brian Hoyer, boy, you remember when Cam Newton got COVID and had to miss a game, and he was pressed into duty. And like, I have no animosity to the guy. He's a 36-year-old bald man whose first name, by the way, is Axel. Did you guys know that? His middle name is Ray. His first name is Axel. I'm like, why wouldn't you just go with Axel? But that's between you and your parents. That's a kick-ass name. But he got into that game against Kansas City where the Pats were competitive. They were keeping KC in check. They were containing them. And he had a chance to make it a close game at the end of the half and just lost track of how many downs there were. And then late in the game, similar situation where, he just took a sack on fourth down. It's like, the moment was just too big for him. So the idea that he's going to go into Green Bay, after the number that they just did on the Bucs at the afternoon game and on Sunday, and think that Brian Hoyer is going to lead them to victory on the road in a tough place to play. I wish I could conjure up that sort of optimism, but I think the 10.5-point spread is one of those rare moments where Vegas has it right. Like, that's a double digits is a pretty good number right there. And what that means going forward, God, I don't know. We all knew the start of the season was going to be tough. 3 games on the road. Your only home game is against Baltimore. You have to travel to Green Bay. Going to Miami is always tough. But then it was going to look good for the next part of October, right? in no particular order, I don't have the schedule in front of me, but you got Cleveland, and the Jets are later on, and you got Chicago and Indy coming up. That doesn't look so much the easy part of the schedule anymore. Now it looks like it's going to be a fight just to stay in the hunt for whenever Mac comes back, if he does. So I think it's going to be Hoyer. I can't see them going with Bailey Zappi unless Hoyer goes down. It's similar to a Jacoby Brissett. I think they were high on him as a rookie, but it wasn't until they had to start him that they did. And then there was that emergency basis where they started him, and he needed surgery afterwards. But Jimmy Grapple said, I don't feel like playing today. So I think we're going to see Hoyer as long as Hoyer is physically able to do it. And Zappi is just going to be behind a pane of glass that says, break glass in case of emergency.
Who would you rather see start?
I want to keep this competitive. And I get that some people are already saying, you just might as well tank. I think right now you'd just be throwing Zappi to the wolves. I think it'd be unfair to him. I think it'd be unfair to the rest of the team. Hoyer, they trust. He's more of a coach than a player at this point in his career. But I think they trust him to make the proper calls to hand the ball off to Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson and pray that you can put together some kind of a sustained drive that keeps Green Bay off the field.
Yeah.
Barry, you got a last question for Jerry?
Yes, Jerry. So I wanted to ask you, what's your favorite moment as a Patriots fan, as following this team? I know you've been following this team for a while. What's your favorite moment as a fan, and do you have a particular favorite player that you really enjoyed watching play?
I'd say most people, Vinatieri's kick against the Rams just stands alone for what it meant, not just to this franchise, but what it meant to Boston sports. Because at that point, if you remember, and I saved the screenshot of this, there was the Quincy Patriot Ledger, back when suburban newspapers was still a thing. The sports page, the top of the fold, it was a drawing, a caricature of, it was Belichick, Pitino, Jimmy Williams, and whoever was coaching the Bruins at the time, and it just said Loserville. That's how Boston was seen, Loserville, because it had been 15 years since the '86 Celtics, which felt like an eternity. They had a parade in Boston because Ray Bork won the Stanley Cup in Colorado. That's how bad things got. And then Vinatieri kicked that ball through, and it just changed the whole trajectory of the Patriots, then the Red Sox, later the Bruins, the Celtics, and then Bruins. And I know that you can say one has nothing to do with the other. I don't care. One had something to do with the other. Mm-hmm. I really think the greatest moment in the history of the NFL was Malcolm Butler's interception. That whole Super Bowl was an absolute heavyweight title fight between two teams that were stacked on both sides of the ball. Let us not forget that the Legion of Boom the year before held Peyton Manning, 55 touchdown passes, the most prolific offense in the history of the NFL to this day. They held him to 8 points. Scored 28 against that exact same defense. That was a dynasty that was about to begin, another one that had gone cold without a title for 10 years. And Malcolm Butler's pick flipped the fate of both those franchises in one instant. That'll always be the great play. But a sentimental favorite for me was the Snow Bowl game where Brady gets hit and the ball comes loose and they change the call, and it just a couple things about that. Yeah. When I was first going out promoting From Darkness to Dynasty. You know, the publisher asked, "You want to go do talks?" And yeah, I'd love to go do talks. And I meet a ton of Patriots fans. And this happened. This older guy stands up. He goes, "Look, it's not a question. I just want to tell you a story. I was working the chain gang at the Snow Bowl game, and he was wearing like this old, like 90s style NFL starter jacket. So he was totally legit. I could tell." And he goes, "When they reversed the call and said, okay, now it's not Oakland's ball, it's New England's ball, they kept it right where that line of scrimmage." And he goes, "We stopped the officials and said, hold on. It's not a fumble. It's an intercept. It's an incomplete pass. Therefore, it goes back to the original line of scrimmage, which was 5 yards closer to the end zone. Vinatieri's kick was good by 2 yards. So if these guys hadn't spoken up, that kick is no good. Patriots lose. Brady probably doesn't start the next year. Maybe they restart Bledsoe." I go, "Dude, you're Forrest Gump. Like, this is the greatest brush with greatness I've ever had in my life. Like, you should have a statue. How did anybody not know this?" You know? And I also think, like, my life has been pretty good since that point. I was working for the Massachusetts court system back then. I remember that night well, and I keep thinking that I'm going to wake up on the couch and my 5-year-old son, who's now 26, is going to be shaking me going, Dad, you hit your head when Brady fumbled and the Patriots lost. And by the way, you have to go to work in a half an hour. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been in a coma this whole time. But no, instead, yeah. And if this was the Matrix, like Morpheus said, red pill, blue pill, I'm like, give me that blue pill. I'm staying right in this little fantasy world where I write about the Patriots for a living. They've won 6 titles. They've got Mac Jones. Brett Belichick's still here. I get to talk to guys like you. So, yeah, that one play changed not just this franchise, but it changed my whole life very much for the better. So that's it. If I had to pick one moment, I'm picking those 3 and about 300 others. But the Vinatieri kick to this day is still that thing like Pavlov's dog. When I hear the Gil Santos call, it's good. I just start weeping like I've been pepper sprayed.
That's amazing.
Oh man, that's funny. That's awesome. Yeah, that's great stuff. No,
gives you an idea what kind of a run we're on. And by the way, I know when Patriots fans get together and we talk about stuff like what was your favorite, it's the kind of thing that goes right up the prison wallet of fans from all around the country. You know, like Jets fans don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
What's your favorite moment? Joe Namath guaranteed they'd beat the Colts, and they did. It was 50 years ago, you know, and it's all they have, you know. And we sit there going, I don't know, I really like that one over the Eagles. I kind of like the 2018 one. Other franchises just don't have this, so we're truly blessed. I'm convinced it's not over by any stretch of the imagination, but it's going to be a tough few weeks for sure.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Once again, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really appreciate you. We always have a good time every time you come on here, man. And, you know, you're always welcome to come on, and we're always going to support you and, you know, keep following on your work. So thank you once again. Hey,
John, Barry, Vlad, it's been a blast again. Maybe next time we come on after like some great news, you know.
Yes, you know,
please. Nice playoff win or shutting down Josh Allen or anything. But this is I said at the beginning, this is good therapy for me. So it's always a blast to talk to you guys, and I look forward to doing it again.
Awesome. Have a good night, Jerry.
Jerry, real quick, I'm gonna make you this promise and have it on the record that the next time I bring you on the show, or the next time, you know, I hit you up to invite you on the show, it'll either be after a win or after some good Patriots news.
Maybe. You know, at the same time,
a tough loss or a tough game that, you know, that you've come on the last 2 times.
Well, you know what? Maybe we won't need each other during the good times, you know? like the tough times make strong people. So yeah, I'll talk to you guys anytime, but during the tough times we have some laughs, and it's a pleasure. So thanks once again, and I look forward to doing this again soon.
All right.
Absolutely.
Have a good night, Jerry.
Thank you, Jerry. Have a good night.
And there you have it, yo. That was Jerry Thornton. Once again, make sure you guys are following Jerry Thornton on Twitter and social media. The guy got good content at all times. Make sure you guys are following us as well. We're at ProFan Sports on everything except for Instagram, and that's at ProFans_sports. If you're still watching, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the videos with your people, with like-minded individuals that like sports. So, and with that said, we'll catch you guys on the next one, all right? We out.
Peace out, everyone. Have a good week. See y'all next week.